Bulloch County was founded in 1796. The county did not immediately obtain an official county seat, but the small farming community of Brooklet was for a short time its major center of population. During General Sherman's infamous March to the Sea, his men passed through Statesboro en route to Savannah, and one of his soldiers asked where a pub could be found and where the town itself was located, only to learn he was standing right in the middle of it. The Yankees apparently expected the county seat to be much larger, but once they found the timber courthouse, they burned it to the ground along with several other structures. After the boll weevil decimated the cotton crop in the 1930s, local farmers shifted to other cash crops, tobacco. This transition allowed the community to recover from the Great Depression more quickly than most. By 1953, more than 20 million pounds of tobacco passed through warehouses in Statesboro, which was then one of the largest market in the bright tobacco belt, spanning Georgia and Florida. Today, Bulloch County remains a farming community with dozens of farmers, agribusiness, and multiple crop buying points, and is responsible for $150 million in annual farm gate revenue. We have farmers young and old who are deeply passionate about growing. Some of these farms have been in families since the early 1800s, but some of these families have recently found their love for growing and have started their own first-generation operations. Even with governmental highs and lows, we're thankful to live in a county that understands the value of agriculture and supports it.
I got into farming because I didn't have a job one summer, and a local farmer asked me, he said, "Can you drive a tractor?" I said, "Sure, I can drive a tractor. Nothing to it, you know." And so I started helping him that summer, and it just kind of escalated. I started out working for $9 an hour and being a tractor operator, and just kind of grew from there. You know, we went from $9 to $12, you know, climbed the ladder right on up. And as I did, I picked up land and started farming a little on my own and working with another producer. And yeah, I had a great teacher. I mean, he was a real inspiration to doing it. And I just love watching stuff grow. Since I was a child, I loved gardening and that type of thing. I didn't grow up on a farm, so I'm a first generation, but just watching things grow and produce, you know, there's just a joy to that warms me, you know.
I'm Matt Blitch. I got into farming. I'm a fourth generation farmer. My son is actually in farming now. He's the fifth. We've been on the same place all my life, but so that's how I got into farming. I've been farming since, I guess I've been in it all my life. I really started I rented my first farm when I was 14 years old, and I've been growing ever since.
I'm 32 years old and been helping my dad my whole life, and me and my brother are currently farming with my dad, and we are the fifth generation to tend the property that we have. As long as I can remember, I don't remember what it's like not to farm or feed cows or fix fence. And as far as the chickens, Dad's had his about 20 years, and I'm going on about my 5th year now.
So this is our 25th year of doing the produce here in Bulloch County. My dad got started doing farming a long time ago as a sharecropper with his grandpa. So we are a 5th generation family farm.
Hi, I'm Andrea Whitfield. I sell crop insurance for Ag South Farm Credit. Me being a part of the Ag Committee, we have evolved into so much. Ag Night Out, which mainly what we do is we want to increase ag awareness.
How I got started in the citrus business was me and my buddies. We went fishing out in Louisiana, been going for 20 years. And we always fished in the spring. And in 2009, we decided to go in the fall. And it was the first week in November we went out. And just this side of New Orleans, out of Chalmette where we fished, they had a lot of trucks alongside the road. They were selling citrus out the back of these pickup trucks. Had a sign on there that said Satsumas. Well, I didn't know what a Satsuma was, and they didn't either. So we bought some, and that's the best piece of citrus I ever put in my mouth.
As far as the poultry goes, it's definitely been a blessing to our farm. We enjoy it. We're contracted with Collection Poultry. You can get 6 to 7 grow outs in a year, kind of depending on layout times. Average is usually 10 to 16 days, usually about 2 weeks on average.
My name is Andy Hart. I'm the manager here at Bulloch Gin in Brooklet, Georgia. We gin about 68,000 bales a year here at our facility. We bring the cotton in from the field with our module trucks. We stage it on our yard, and then it goes through our facility where it's separated, dried, cleaned, and the lint is separated from the seed.
If you don't believe in the Lord, you don't need to be trying to do this. Somebody says, you know, it was a mighty small crop this year. We didn't really make any money, but there was enough. You may not have had any excess, but you had enough to provide for your family, pay your bills, and start all over again another year.
When we enter into a time like this, we're all in it together. I mean, it's rough on everybody that makes a living off of the family farms, farmers, equipment dealers, everybody this time of year. You know, it costs money to keep these guys serviced and going, but you know, everybody kind of pitches in and does the best we can to keep everybody going and make sure everybody's taken care of.
My family started farming. My granddaddy's farmed. Alan and I started probably in 1985, and Hayden's granddaddy's farm, both farmed. Mr. Jappy Akins still farms, and kind of got Hayden into the cow business, and he's been running some cows of his with ours, and so we've been probably farming about 30 years.
I started farming when I was, as long as I can remember. I was 2 months old, and I was bedding land with my dad. And I was in my car seat, and he slammed on the brakes and threw me in the floor. And since then, I've just been on a tractor since I was a baby.
All right, my name is David Crumley, and I'm a farmer here in Brooklet, Georgia. Me and my dad, my uncle, and my cousin farm in partnership, and our farm is called Nelwood Farms. Me and my cousin are actually the 6th generation on this farm, and we raise row crops. We predominantly do cotton and peanuts. We also raise beef cattle, and we're a cow-calf operation, so we raise cattle for beef and also for putting mamas back into our herd. So I graduated from the University of Georgia in 2009, and I got a degree in animal science and a minor in agribusiness with anticipation of coming back to the farm. And like I said, this is something that my family's been building on for years. My grandfather had a degree from UGA in animal husbandry. My dad got a degree in animal science, so I guess you could say it's in our blood. But having that background really prepared me for different aspects of the business that you just can't learn on the farm. But then I also learned as soon as I got back to the farm how much I didn't know. And so it was a very humbling experience, and I realize now that I learn something new every day. But you know, getting to spend time with my family and getting to raise these cattle and see the genetic improvements that we've made since I've come back and started using artificial insemination and just different bulls that we had never been able to afford because they're just too pricey, but the AI allows us to do that and improve our genetics in such a quick way that you know, it's been really neat to see. And so it's just a labor of love, something that's been worked on for many generations, and I'm glad to be a part of it. All right, so this calf was born last night. It's a little bull calf, and his mama is staying close by. But we have to check them every day to make sure everything went right with the birth and make sure that the mama's okay and that the baby's okay, and we record it in our record book, and we put it in Excel so we can look at the numbers later too.
I'm Bill Tyson, Bulloch County agent and coordinator. One thing about my job is no day is ever the same. I deal with, most of my time is dealt with farmers, either insect diseases, best management practices, you know, how to produce that crop.
I'm David Russian. I work for Birdsong Peanuts. We have this facility here in Brooklet. As we're looking at these grades, you have to communicate back to the farmer, because if you have too many LSKs or sound splits or something like that, the farmer would like to know that so he can adjust his machinery as needed in the field. So,
I'm Aaron Belcher with Triangle Chemical Company. I'm Vice President of Credit with Triangle, been with Triangle 46 years.
Our main customers here in Bulloch County are all our row crop vegetable farmers here. We supply them with all their input needs.
This is a busy time of year for us here. Usually starting around May is our business picks up here.
We want to thank all of our customers in Bulloch and the surrounding counties. We know farming is very important here, and we want to thank everyone for 60 years of continued business, and we appreciate every one of you and your families and what they mean to us.
My name's Kyle Shedd. I work for Nutrient Ag Solutions here in Statesboro, Georgia. My role here is a facility manager and salesman, and we spend our time calling on growers and making recommendations to growers as to how to efficiently and productively produce a crop year in and year out. We say this particular material is referred to as potash. It's technically muriate of potassium. It's a 60% potassium material. It's what we use to get potassium to the plant. Potassium is a crucial nutrient in cotton and corn for producing a fruit and for overall plant health.
My name is Will Clark. I'm the general manager here at Tillman & Deal. In 2018, we built this facility. We started out, we just built the peanut plant. We process peanuts, we bring peanuts in from the field, we dry them, we grade them, and then we store them in the warehouse and send them to a shelling plant in Douglas. Last year in 2019, well, the beginning of 19, this year, we added a cotton warehouse. We store cotton for the cotton gin next door and ship it to the ports. As they need a load, they come in and pick up a load and ship it out. We buy and sell fertilizer, wholesale and retail to farmers and to other dealers. Well, you know, we're kind of in a slump with the industry. Most of the farmers are kind of behind because of the commodity prices. Peanuts are down a little, cotton is way off. Cotton has a big influence because most of our producers are peanut and cotton growers. If you go out and you spend $600,000 on a cotton picker, or I don't even know how much those things cost. I'll never be able to own one, but I'd love to have one. It would make it a lot easier to do, but you know, I don't know how you would pick that much cotton to justify doing it. Not at 63 cents. So I don't know, I feel like technology might be outrunning us just a hair. You know, farmer goes out and say he makes 20% of his investment. What he invests into the crop, he gets 20% return on. But then you go up to the feed and seed store, chemical fertilizer, John Deere, Case International, any of these companies, and you pay 300% markup on your stuff. It's hard to stay in business like that. And I don't know if that's from technology, you know, just going on with technology and everything costing so much more. But like I said, I don't think you would spend $600,000 or $700,000 on a cotton picker in 1985 with 63-cent cotton. But yet we're doing it today with the cost of living more. So, and I just don't know where it could end up. The prices in the commodity market are they're tough on them. It affects them year by year depending on how much they sell their crop for is how much they have to pay out and spend the next year. So it affects us just as much as it affects them because they don't have as much money to spend. If they don't make the money, they can't spend the money, and when they're in a hole, they kind of cut back and just don't really have the money to put into the crop that they should.
We're here in Brandon Farms equipment shed. I think the thing that stands out most in your mind when you look at a facility the size of this is just how many dollars worth of equipment it will hold. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. The very nature of agriculture today is
necessitated and required that farmers increase acreage. It's the nature of the beast. And so doing, it takes additional equipment needs, it takes additional labor needs. And I couldn't even begin to imagine when the harvest is over and all the equipment's back in its place under the shelters, how many dollars worth of equipment would be on this shelter. 50 years ago, it would have probably been less than $100,000 worth for the average farmer. Today, $2 million, $2.5 million, I don't think would be out of the realm of reality at all. In a lot of instances, more than that.
First year I farmed really on my own was 1980. It was probably the worst year. You know, it was real dry that year. And 93 was a real bad year for us. And we've just always been able to kind of pick up and keep moving, you know, keep going. We've downsized, and, you know, back then we had a lot of livestock, so we had hogs and we had cows, and hogs kind of kept us going during those lean years. You know, we don't have any livestock anymore. But it's right now it's the prices. Our prices are real low, and our crops are off a little bit. But, you know, hopefully we're gonna have enough to break even and get out, you know, and come out, and maybe we can go again another year, you know.
I've been farming all my life. Back when I farmed, we planted a good many soybeans. I left to plow soybeans. Of course, there's no plowing anymore, but all you got to do is have a sprayer and a Roundup. I guess the biggest challenge was trusting in the good Lord to send us rain, because a farmer can't make it without rain. And a lot of people can't understand that and grumble when it does rain, but everybody has to have rain. Everything has to have rain.
The best piece of advice I've ever got is just trust in the Lord and pray for rain.
I remember when Hayden was just a little, real little fella, a few months old, and Alan had him it was actually a dog bed with the sides on it, and it just fit behind the tractor seat in the cab. And that's where Hayden stayed riding with his daddy on the tractor. And he was just born on the tractor, you might say. Well, like I've already said, trust in the Lord. If you're gonna farm, you got to trust in the Lord.
I chose Colossians 23 through 24, which says, "And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily, as to the Lord and not unto men, knowing that of the Lord ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for you serve the Lord Christ." And that's kind of what, I mean, if you're not really making any money, you got to be, you know, if you just measure what you're doing by the world standards, then you need to be doing something else. But if you're doing what God called you to do, you just trust Him, and He provides what we need. A lot of times it don't look like there's going to be enough, and there is. I remember like the story of the Israelites walking through the desert, and they wandered for 40 years, and they weren't always obedient to God, but they were His people, and He protected them, and though they wandered for 40 years, their shoes never wore out.
Told me a long time ago, the good Lord will give you 2 ears and 1 mouth, and you need to listen more than you talk. And that's a good rule of thumb. If you'll listen to people, listen to other farmers, and you just kind of keep your mouth shut and do the listening, most of the time you'll be okay, you know.
If you have a dream to do something, then do it. There's going to be a lot of people, if you decide that you want to be a farmer, there'll be a lot of people that try to deter you from doing it, because it is a hard life, but it is very rewarding. There is nothing that gives you more pride or just feel good about yourself than farming. It's probably one of the hardest occupations there probably is, because you don't know from one day to the next if you're going to be here.
Just an ordinary day, spraying peanuts and just things that we've always done and always have done 1,000 times in the blink of an eye. Part of the boom comes around and hits me in the back of the head and knocks me out, and next thing I know, I'm being airlifted to Augusta Trauma. And, but the thing I got most out of it was all the prayers from Bulloch County and Bulloch EMS and Sheriff's Department. Everybody just were so great to me, and everybody praying, and just it really humbled me a lot to have all that going on and prayers for me. I just thank God that it wasn't any worse than it was.
I think basically the bottom line to the whole thing is, you ask a farmer, why do you do what you do for a living? He's going to say, because that's what I do for a living. There's something about smelling the soil when it's freshly turned. There's something about seeing a baby calf born. And after all these years, it still amazes me every year when we start planting a crop that we put the seed in the ground, and a few days later you look down the rows and all of a sudden there's emergence. It's almost like it's a miracle that takes place over and over. We love to smell freshly cut hay. We love to smell freshly plowed up peanuts. We love to smell tobacco as it's cured. It's all the smells of agriculture that make it what it is. And I think that that's the thing that you either possess or you don't possess. It's the one thing that makes you a successful farmer or a non-successful farmer, is the love and diligence with which you approach it.